here's Talisa's event planning and home decorating ideas. On the last clip, we finished installing the light fixture. Now let's move on to finishing the bottom half of the console. As you can see here, there's quite a few holes that's left to be filled. So let's go ahead and fill those holes and then get going with the sanding process. Once we got everything sanded, now it's time to spray the bottom. All done. Let's see what it looks like now. Now let's take a look at it with the top on. Wow, I really like how it turned out. It's looking good to me so far. Let's keep going. Now it's time to prep the top of the console for the epoxy pour. So let's go ahead and get the epoxy ready. So I set up my table with everything I thought I would need to mix my epoxy. I have the mixing bowls, the paints I'm going to use, the cups I'm going to pour it into, and a stick to stir. Now I purchased this epoxy from Amazon. It was a 32-ounce kit. It's supposed to be crystal clear without any yellowing, and it's supposed to have no bubbles and self-leveling. And it's supposed to be easy to mix. Now you're supposed to do like a 1-to-1 ratio. So however much a hardener you put in, you use the A and the B, and whatever you put in with the A, you put in with the B. And so as you can see, I'm going with my pours first to get the mixture together before I actually pour it into the cups that I'm going to mix the paint in. As you can see, I've already poured the epoxy mix into the cups and added my paint. I had a really difficult time. I used my regular acrylic paint that I would use for painting my pictures, which probably was not a good idea, but I did it anyway. And you'll see that when I made the mix, the blue and the black mix really did not mix well together. And I had a lot of problems, especially with the blue mixture. Didn't really come out well, but you'll see in the end, what I decided to do. I probably should have purchased the paints that you would normally mix with the epoxy, and that would be my suggestion to you. Now I'm going to pour the different colored mixtures into one bowl, do my little swirls inside the bowl so it can create the look that I really want to see on the top of the console. So let's see how this turns out. Wow, I really like those colors. I think they look so beautiful together, the swirls, especially the blue. The blue is what I really wanted on the console. We'll see how that turns out, but I think those colors really look well together. Now I need to cover the bottom of the console to make certain that the epoxy don't drip onto the bottom. And then you're going to see me take the bucket of the colors and do what they call a dirty pour. And basically pour the epoxy all over the top of the surface. Now what I had to do was, what I wanted to do, and I did do that, was to take some of the epoxies that was left in the other cups with the colors and just pour them in different areas. Like if I saw a gap, I would pour maybe extra black, or if I saw another gap, I would put the extra blue epoxy in those areas. And basically the epoxy is supposed to thin itself out and then cover the surfaces wherever there's areas left over. But I did not create enough of the solution. So I had to take a brush and try to brush it into different areas or gaps where I did not cover completely. So I used my paintbrush to try to cover the holes that I did see. Yeah, that's what I did. I don't know if that was a good solution, but it really didn't mess up the color. It still looked nice to me when it was all done. Now the edges of the console I absolutely loved. It gave me the exact look that I was looking for. Just that it reminded me of burnt wood, and that's kind of what I was going for. And then when I put the black epoxy around the edges, to me, it just really set that piece off. It gave it a totally different dimension and a totally different look. Exactly what I was looking for. I loved it. Now, as you can probably see, my issue was that the blue paint never, it never flowed the way it was supposed to. It left little dots and specks of blue, which can still be kind of pretty because it kind of reminds me of the universe or something in outer space. However, that was not the look that I was going for. I wanted it to look like the blue that was inside of the bucket. But unfortunately, this is what happened. Still not, bad, but it's okay. It's okay. And this is when the epoxy dried. I had quite a few bubbles left, and it may be because of the paints that I used. I don't think it was the epoxy. I really believe it was because of the paints that I decided or I chose for this project. So now that is dried, I'm going to have to figure out how to get rid of the bubbles. And there were still some spots that should have been filled that I didn't quite get filled properly. So I still need to fix the holes, then go back and do another pour. And also the top of that cabinet, you can still see the indentation of what the cabinetry looked like. And I didn't want that to be noticeable. And so I'm going to have to go back over it one more time and give it another pour to possibly, fix the areas where it didn't come out too well. Time. Now it's time to sand down the bubbles that I saw when I was rubbing my fingers over the console. I need to get rid of all the air bubbles and just not too far deep into it, but just try to get the surface down to where it's nice and smooth. Everything appears to be smooth and level like I needed it to be. I'm just double checking the air bubble areas just to make sure I didn't miss anything. And then I'm just going to wipe it down and prep the console for another epoxy pour. This time I wanted to try something a little bit different when I did my blue paint, since it came out in specks the last time. So I got a pouring medium, that is like an acrylic paint thinner, because it looked like my paint was too thick the first time. That's why it came out in chunks of blue specks. So I figured if I thin out the paint and mix it up with the paint thinner, then it may flow the way I wanted it to flow. So that's, I'm mixing up the thinner first before I actually start doing my epoxy mixture. So I went back on Amazon and I purchased a different epoxy kit called Nasubi Crystal Clear Epoxy Resin Kit. It was a 68-ounce container, 34 and 34. You had the hardener and the resin. And it too was supposed to have no bubbles, of course, and no odor and things like that. But I mixed those up together, the 1-to-1 ratio, and I used the entire container because I wanted to make certain this time that I had enough to cover the entire area of the top of the console without me having to do a lot of spreading with a brush. So you'll see me mixing it up before I pour it into the cups and then mix my colors in, and hopefully I'll get that look or obtain the look that I'm trying to get. Now this time I wanted to try something different and use the black spray paint as opposed to the black paint, the acrylic paint I had before. So I tried to see what that would look like with the mixture. This was an absolute no-go for me. It did not mix at all. All I saw was my epoxy clear mix and never did the spray paint show. And it could have been the spray paint that I was using, because I've seen this technique before when they would spray the spray paint inside the epoxy and it would mix, but mine did not. So I had to go and get my black acrylic paint instead. Now, this is the look I'm going for. Once again, I think the colors are absolutely gorgeous. That blue pop is what I was looking for. And so let's try once more. This time I added the epoxy to both the top and the bottom of the console just to give it another special look. But as you can see, no blue. I was a little disappointed, but not much, because I didn't get the bubbles like I did before. It was a lot smoother, and it was still pretty. So it was okay. I still liked it. I thought it was lovely, and I really enjoyed making this. This is just beautiful to me. Now, I did notice a few bubbles, just very vaguely here and there, and it was a couple little errors I made, as if I over poured, or I poured more epoxy when it was already drying, because I saw a couple of spots that I wanted to fill, and it kind of left a few little rugged bumps, but for the most part, it was great. I even still see like a little blue hue of the paint that I tried to pour, which was fine. No matter what, it came out really good. Even in my front room, it looks really awesome with everything and the colors. The table looks so smooth and just inviting. It really looks nice. I was really surprised myself to see how great it turned out. I've never ever made my own furniture before. My first try. And as you can see, even though I didn't get the blue to get on the epoxy, I still got a blue light. So I still got my blue going on, and it mixes well with what I was trying to come up with. So I am not disappointed. I was so impressed with my finished look that I have decided that now I am going to complete an end table that's in my front room as well as my dining room table, and make them look cohesive with the piece that I just finished. So at some point I'll go ahead and post those as well, and then show you the complete look, so it all look all cohesive with the same kind of distinct look. So this is going to be exciting for me. I'm going to keep on going. I hope you guys enjoyed this, because I had a great time making it.